a bit swirly for me. I'm hearing, as I know the minister is hearing, from many, many people in British Columbia who purchased, and for the majority of them, this is their only short-term rental. For some people, they live in this part-time, but less than half the year. They bought it on the basis that it was non-conforming, that their municipality approved it as non-conforming. They've licensed, registered, pay taxes on it. They've done everything that was expected of them. And this change, pardon me, has a significant impact to their ability to cover the costs of these units, their ability to now sell these units without a significant financial penalty, as we know the value of these units was more when they were potential STR. This seems extremely unfair to these people who have purchased in good faith and have done nothing wrong. This also goes back to our previous amendment, where we feel that this legislation is giving an advantage to property owners who have a single-family home, who, you know, have the capacity of ownership of a house with a basement suite, over many of the people that I've been hearing from that own in these non-conforming suites, who are students, who are renters, and this is their only way to kind of get a foothold into the real estate market, that this just seems very punitive. And I don't understand why this measure was put in. UBCM says it did not ask for this measure, so I would like to understand then why ministry, without that request having been made of them, determined that this was appropriate.
Minister.
Thank you, Chair, and I appreciate the member's question. You know, I was reading the Times Colonist recently and just saw a person talking about how they have 4 condos in one of those buildings, and they used them all as short-term rentals. And I think the person estimated that 90 units of the 121 in just one building alone were short-term rentals. And I guess the debate I guess we've been having from the beginning is, when we have people working full-time jobs who can't find a place to live in our communities, when they see that in a building of 121 units and 90 of them are short-term rentals at least, it's a problem. And so we want to get more housing back into the housing stock. Now, the reason why May 1st, the reason why people have time is for them to be able to either rent them long-term, but if they feel they don't want to be landlords and they want to sell them, they have the time to sell them. In fact, what we've seen just in the last 48 hours is an increase in listings of people selling in those buildings. And so either it'll become a rental for somebody who needs it in our community, or it'll become a home for somebody else. And so I do appreciate the members' questions. But fundamentally, what we're trying to do with this important piece of legislation is get more housing back into the housing stock for people who desperately need it. I think it's too early to assume that people are going to lose money on their investments. We'll have to see when units are sold, where they bought them and where they sell. Prices have gone up significantly, so I just won't accept the premise that people are going to lose money on their investments. But that being said, that's the premise of this legislation, is to try to get more housing back to people in our communities.
Member West Vancouver Capilano.
I'm concerned and disappointed in the minister's answer, Mr. Chair. These buildings, the minister refers to them like they're, you know, evil owners in these buildings. They were built as short-term rentals. That was the purpose of these units, was the ability for people to use them as short-term rentals. So the fact that they're being used as short-term rentals should not be surprising to anyone. And as I said, they were being operated legally. The minister also continues to reference people who own multiple units. I was talking about the people who own one additional unit from their primary residence, who cannot very often have an ownership outside of one of these small units, and to presume that their costs will be covered when interest rates have gone up and when people purchased at a premium. And I'm sure the minister and all the other MLAs have received letters from people who just purchased these units in the last month, in the last several months, and they've probably lost, I don't know, up to maybe 25–30% of the premium that they paid for those units. The question was, UBCM did not ask for this. Were they then consulted that municipalities would be directed to take this stock out of their potential tourist zones?
Thank you, Chair. So there's two parts I'll answer. First, 440 square feet is bigger than many people are living in when you see them living in RVs right now, because they can't find a place to live. It's not an ideal square footage for a lot of families, I get that, but there are still people who are desperate for housing that could use housing, even if it's 440 square feet. The second piece, the member's question was, did we talk to, I can share with the member that Victoria did ask us to remove that provision, and there's a significant amount of communities, units within Victoria on the list.
Member.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chair, thank you. Just for the record, I think this is egregious and it is hurting British Columbians, and not a lot of consideration has been given to people who have worked hard to purchase these units and have done it above board in the right way.